That makes sense. Today I'm going to talk about my league starter for the League of Phrecia event. It will be a Lightning Strike Paladin, and the reason I believe Paladin is one of the strongest starters is pretty simple, honestly, because if we look at the nodes that Paladin gets compared to the others, you get Bring the Battle, which is a pretty good, decent, like, first lap, because War Cries have infinite power, means Enduring Cry will give you endurance charges, which means less damage taken with this less damage taken. You're gonna be have some decent bit of tankiness. 20% increased damage is pretty good. These small nodes have been revealed to be like aura effect, also pretty strong. And the other part is the 10% regen over 3 seconds, because I think as a base it started off as 3 seconds for Enduring Cry. So it's gonna be very comfy for leveling. Another thing you could do is just go straight into Light of Divinity, then into the Relic. So you don't have to respec this, because in the second lab you're always going to be respecing this and going into like the 2 point relic. So Light of Divinity, Elemental Valiance. Third lab, you're gonna go into Bring the Battle again. And fourth is 40% increased flask effect. Because by the end of day one or like day two, I want to be Perseverance build, and this is gonna be very good for that. So yeah, you get 20% aura effect from the small nodes, you get 40% flask effect, you get very cool node here with Warcries have infinite power. Whose Enduring Cry is going to be giving you a decent bit of regen. You could use that with more duration as well, so it's going to be even longer. Relics will carry your flat because they have insane amount of flat. I think the level of the relic is 27.5. You get more multipliers here. So overall, it's very strong. And you're going to be starting as a duelist because Paladin is a duelist. And duelist has one of the easiest leveling because of how it's positioned here, like especially for attack builds. Early on, you're going to start with two-hander. So sword into an axe preferably. So like by the time you're doing Brutus, you're gonna be doing a bastard sword. By the time you're doing Mervel, it's gonna be a Kurui chopper or a Jade chopper. I remember which is the low level one. So and before you swap to the sword, you're gonna be dual wielding, and it's gonna be very easy here. You grab the percent fizz, life, and like percent damage here. You start pathing here. And for the skill that we're gonna be using early on, obviously it's gonna be Spectral Throw. It's very good for like moving and like kiting, so you can just keep moving and throwing your spectral throw behind you, and you can just keep killing things. The links you're going to be looking for early is a green, red, red, or a green, green, red. So either spectral throw momentum with added fire, or spectral throw added fire chance to bleed. These both work. You can also do cold damage, but momentum is pretty good because it gives you attack speed, and attack speed is very valuable early on, especially when you swap to an axe when you don't have that much attack speed. And we're gonna use dash until we can use frostblink, and the reason we don't use frostblink right away is because of the int requirement at level 116, and we don't have that unless we click mana flows, but we're not really pathing there. We could do that. Instead, what we're just gonna do is grab a lapis amulet as soon as we have the currency for that, and we can go into frostblink setup. When you go into the frostblink setup, you're gonna be using leap snap as well. So for the swap, I want at least this attack mastery, additional target for non-val strike skills. Before that, I would not recommend swapping. It's gonna feel like absolutely miserable to clear with the skill. And after that, you're gonna grab the percent increase here. Like this node is super strong for leveling 100% damage against ignited enemies. You even get the ignite chance over here, gives you attack speed. Overall, it's a very good node. And when you swap to that, obviously we're gonna be lightning strike by this point. And when you have lightning strike, you're gonna need pierce because lightning strike without pierce is unplayable. Honestly, early on, can't really clear anything. And the added fire, so we get the chance to ignite the fire damage. If we don't have the fire damage, then this won't work. Can't remember exactly if Fizz has a chance to ignite, but I doubt that it has. I think that's Fizz only works with chaos. So yeah, we're gonna need that. Act 3 we're gonna have is Lightning Strike, Added Fire, Trinity, and Pierce if you can enable Trinity. If not, we're just gonna go into normal one with Lightning Strike, Added Fire, and instead of Trinity here, you would do weapon, not damage attacks. So it's gonna be 2 green, 2 red. And if you can enable Trinity, then you go with the blue instead. But other than that, it's gonna be very simple. Like it's an attack belt leveling. Go into PT, gives us 40% more damage. Just make sure your accuracy is always higher than your life. Grab this strength wheel because early on we don't have as much strength. We're passing through so many dexterity nodes. We get some strength from here and some strength from here, but that's about it. We can collect this for more strength, but really how good that is. Depends. If you really need the strength, you could always do this here. Act 4, we're gonna grab Onslaught here, and we're gonna grab Rage from here. Obviously, you're gonna be like, why do we grab both of these? Because this has also Onslaught effect. You could just skip this completely and rush to this wheel. You get 20% chance to get Onslaught on kill, but I like this wheel as well. So you can go into this one first, then go into this second. Because this also makes it more of a reliable onslaught. Instead of the 20% here, it becomes a 30% because it's additive, and the effect is also decent. Rage on hit here with axes is also very good. Act 5, grab some leech, we grab the int, point blank. You have the return proj, it's going to be very good. If no return proj, like that. Act 6, we're going to be doing the dual wield. You still have a decent axe and you don't want to go into dual wield because you haven't found anything that's decent, you can just keep the axe nodes here and just start pathing up here. Grab the inverted rest, chance to shock here because we're PT, we can't crit. When you remove PT, you can path here, but it's going to be something like the mid to late game. Grab these increases here, movement speed here. I really like movement speed for campaign. You could just skip this if you want to, honestly. Doesn't do much, it's 9 movement speed, but I like it. Slot boots, it stacks up with Quicksilver. The faster you go, the better. Use attack cost of skills, makes it easier to level. If you don't have any issues with attack skills cost at the moment here, you just drop that. But when you click this, you can also go into the 20% increase reservation, which means you could probably fit like another aura, like small aura. But if not, that's fine. Then into maps, it's gonna be very simple. We unspec out of this area here, we go into here. Obviously, when we unspec off the dual wield, we're gonna remove this here, we're gonna remove this here, and we're gonna take this instead. That's a simple swap there, and this one. But that's only after the dual wield. If you don't have enough respec points, that should be fine because this works. It's like only these 2 points that are dead because it works with two-handers. This works with just attack skills in general. Like I said, for maps, the Pierce, which means we can grab actual support instead of Pierce support. This jewel here, like these 3 points, you're gonna have them actually. It's gonna be before level 91. It's gonna be like level 90, 87 or something, even before that. Because we need this for the duelist Paladin jewel. We don't have the actual ascendancies in POB. And we just grab dual wield, mark with calling and frenzy charge generation. Increases here. Spell suppression chance is lucky with this node, gets us to a decent bit of spell suppression. If you have even like a bit of spell suppression on gear, it helps you a bit. You go with this and it gives you 95%, but it's software anyway, doesn't matter a whole lot. The more suppression you have, the better, and 100 is obviously the perfect. And we swap from this leech node over here to this one, and it gets us leeches instead 10% of it. After you farm a bit of currency, I'm not sure how much White Wind is gonna cost. Depending on how much it costs, might go into a different setup, but it's like relatively portable. You go into a one White Wind setup, and with the 5 link, you're gonna be looking at just do maps here. So 1.1 mil. And this is not accounting for the second ball lightning strike. I'm not sure how to do this in PvP. Maybe like this, but honestly, like this is more than enough damage to do like progression. And the items I have is the White Wind, Perseverance, Granite, Tincture, and Basalt Flask. Because we get so much evasion, the thing that we lack is armor, so we go this instead of the Jade Flask. And an Eternal Life Flask for heal, and a Quicksilver. So it's a Perseverance belt. The Conquest Lemur has to be 1000 armor and evasion. You don't need that on your Conquest Lemur because I don't have helmet, gloves, and boots. It's basically like I just put 3,500, 3,000 on it in like the combined there, and you're probably gonna have more than that. Lapis Amulet for the int. You're gonna need to solve int somehow because White Wind needs 131 int. So we're gonna have to click this int node here, and even this one here. Depending on how your gear is looking at that point. Strength as well. You're gonna need some strength on suffixes. So those are the two things to look for when you're trying to solve this. And when you do that, you also have like a lot of points here for like what's its name? Because when you swap out of this and you go into the White Wind setups, we're gonna remove this, which gives us quite a bit of points. So level, this is you don't take this, it's 86, but obviously you're gonna take it and have an actual jewel in there. You can have life and damage nodes. Any jewel with life and damage will work, but just make sure your life is lower than your accuracy. So like get either accuracy on gear or get lower. And if White Wind is too expensive, another thing you could do is Frost Breath. With how much flat we get from relics, that actually could work. And I assume it's gonna be like 20% or 15% less damage than this, but it would still work. You go into this Mace Mastery and all damage can inflict chill, and you go back into the MB Dexterity setup with the fast attack in offhand and Frost Breath in your main hand. Or you could go with the flat, like a stat stick in your main hand. Depends what you have available and like how's the market looking. Yeah, this is very simple and it's very strong. Another things, few things that you want to look forward for, look for is we're gonna need to grab Spectral Throw from Nessa. You don't get that as a reward. Early on, we're gonna use a green, green, red, or green, red, red. Grab a body armor before mud flats. If you don't drop one, you don't want to be dying in mud flats. You need a lot of transmutes, and you're gonna have to save a couple ults because in Act 2 we're gonna need heralds and marks. And ring and a rustic sash. That's gonna be very good before Brutus. Flat and increases. Gonna make it very easy. Obviously, like I said, the bastard sword before Brutus. Chopper before Merveil. And Lapis Amulet so you can use Frost Blink, and remember to keep a blue socket for it because that's literally the only blue socket you need, so you can forget about it. If you have that with Leap Slime, it's gonna be super fast. Yeah. Other than that, I would not do the League mechanic until like mid Act 2, preferably like Alira zone when you start doing it, but you could do it before that. But yeah, I'm gonna start doing it at that point because I think you need Ori Kalkam to actually do anything meaningful in the town. Before then, it's like it doesn't really do a whole lot. Once you have this, and you can start getting into the black market gamble in, Faustus has a high chance of giving you 4 links. It's gonna be very good. The 4 link for later will be green, green, red, blue, or a green, green, red, red. This is for Trinity, and this is for non-Trinity. So, Lightning Strike, Pierce with elemental damage with attacks, and Trinity, or an enable for Trinity. So, like it could be fire damage, or cold damage, or lightning damage. And this is Lightning Strike, Pierce. You always want to be using Pierce in both setups because you're far away from the Pierce nodes. And elemental damage with attacks, and added fire. Could be another thing if you have fire flat on your weapon as well. It's quite flexible. Like the main 3 here, like the main 2 is this, the Lightning Strike with the Pierce, and the other 2 can be any decent attack supporting support. And you're going to be needing quite a bit of green sockets early, so keep that in mind. Other than that, it's a pretty straightforward build. It's just like in Strike, it's super strong. I want to farm currency so I can make some wonky builds. You know, look into the Vol skills and other stuff. So This will help me farm a bit of skills early on. Good luck out there, and thanks you for watching.
Rue is a cat and fuck sanctum. Subscribe and like for more.